Yo, what's going on, guys? What's Homer Melon back here again with another video. This is going to be my monthly upload for September. As always, like, subscribe. We're getting close to 1,000. You guys know the drill. But I wanted to talk a bit about Yu-Gi-Oh cards and specifically how low some of the prices have gotten. And moreover, can they continue to go lower? Well, obviously they can go lower, but do I think so? This is all going to be my opinions on that. But before we begin, I just wanted to talk a bit about some of the cards that I've been selling. So I'm working towards a larger purchase. You guys might remember this from my collection. It's a PSA 10 first edition Chaos Emperor Dragon Ultimate Rare out of Duelist Pack Kaiba. I said that there's one card that I might try to upgrade this into, and that would be the Invasion of Chaos PSA 10 first edition out of, it's out of Invasion of Chaos, but Chaos Emperor Dragon Secret Rare. And so I think I'm going to try to do that upgrade. The problem is that card's pretty expensive, and that means that I'm going to have to sell this one. And I've had this one for a couple of years. It's been really one of my favorite cards to have in my collection, but I'm looking to sell it now along with some of my other cards to try and clear up some capital to pick up that first edition PSA 10 Chaos Emperor Dragon out of Invasion of Chaos. So this, along with a lot of other cards, are going to be for sale. I am motivated to sell, which I haven't been in the past, so I might be willing to strike a bit more of a deal for some of these cards. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any interest in it, check out my Instagram, message me there. I'm sometimes a little slow to respond, but I will get to everything. So this one's up for sale, along with a number of other PSA slabs and some non-PSA slabs. Here's a Euro print Ultimate Rare Karaz the Light Monarch. I mean, the Euro print, look at those stars. They look insane. Beautiful, beautiful card. Another Monarch and PSA 10. We've got Grand Mark. This is a really low pop one. First edition Ultimate Rare out of Flaming Eternity. Lost Millennium PSA 10. This is one I don't know how motivated I am to sell. This is the version of Chaos Emperor that I had as a kid. I did not have the the PSA 10, or obviously I didn't have the PSA 10, but I did not have the Invasion of Chaos version as a kid. I had this easier to get one. We've got a first edition PSA 9 Mirror Force. Beautiful looking card out of Metal Raiders. Originally I was going to crack that, and then I realized, like, I don't know if there's a good place in my binder for it. I'm still considering cracking it, but we will see. And I'll try to move a little bit quicker through the remainder of the cards so I can continue talking. We've got some Blue Eyes, the Anniversary Pack, PSA 10. In Japanese, we've got some Chaos Emperor Dragon Ultimate Rares, the Japanese tin version. Beautiful, beautiful card. I mean, look at that Ultimate Rare. That thing pops in an amazing way. Moreover, we've got Yubel Ultimate Nightmare, Ultimate Rare PSA 10, some Collector Rare First Edition PSA 10s out of King's Court. Those are really cool ones as well. I love the Arcana Triumph Joker. Really, really beautiful one. And then rounding it out for the PSA slabs, I will get to the, the topic soon. We've got Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This is one that PSA damaged and originally was a 10, and then they, in quality control or quality assurance, ended up marking it as a 9 and then refunded me some of it. I don't know where the damage is. I honestly cannot see it. So I don't know, that'll be cheap. We've got Lifestream Dragon, Ultimate Rare, the Forgotten Signer Dragon right here. And then we've got UFO Roid Fighter, PSA 9. So all those are going to be for sale. I am motivated to sell, so just hit me up if you're interested. And then finally, we have a couple of SGC slabs. We've got Absolute Power Force, Majestic Red Dragon, Ultimate Rare, SGC 10, Premium Gold Rare, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, Festalos, alternate art Destiny Hero Plasma, really, really cool looking one. And then this one's pristine. Like, this is one of the best condition cards I've ever seen. This is one that I might just crack out for a BGS pristine, or try for it. I've graded this in PSA 10 before, a different version of the card, and this was the nicer of the two by a large margin. Anyways, moving on to the actual topic of today. All these, you know, the prices have gone down on them for basically all of them. prices are down sort of across the board. I'm sure you guys have noticed prices just aren't what they once were. And so these three cards are not related to the price drops necessarily, but I did go to Taiwan. Actually, I'll talk about these later. So I'll talk about these because these are related to the price drops. The first thing that I'll talk about is Yatagarasu. So this is a Starlight Rare, modern card. The price has been going down and down and down and down on modern Starlight Rares. And a large portion of that decrease has been due to the printing of quarter-century secret rares. However, all cards really have gone down in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hobby recently. You can pick out a few examples, but on the whole, the market has really tumbled a bit. And it's not just from, Konami printing quarter-century secret rares that destroy the value of Starlight Rares because they look almost identical. I think it's more than that. I think generally people don't view Yu-Gi-Oh! As an investable hobby anymore, or an investable collectible. Now, I have said since the very beginning that you should buy these cards as sort of consumption purchases. Don't view them as things that are stocks that are going to go up to the moon. It's dangerous to do so, at the very least, and I think there are much safer investments than cards. But I think the general public now holds that opinion, whereas during the mania, during the pandemic, that was not the case. And there are still people that believe that these things are going to appreciate over time, and they might go up over time, but it's difficult to say what's going to go up, what's going to go down, and it's difficult to say that every single card is going to appreciate over time because of how many of these chases they're printing. Even the vintage cards have taken a tumble. And part of that's because people aren't investing in them. And then also people I think they've kind of picked out the cards that they want for their collection and have decided that it's not reasonable to try and buy, an entire set or complete every single set in PSA 10. They're doing similar things to what I've been doing, where I have specific cards that I want in my personal collection. Now, I also grade, like, a lot of these cards. This card was not graded for my personal collection. It was graded to sell. And a lot of the graded cards I have are like that. But I think a lot of people were buying cards during the mania just to sort of have them think, maybe they're going to go up. It's fun to have. But nowadays, everything's opened up, at least in America, everything's opened up and been open for some time. And so it doesn't feel like you need to do this as a hobby anymore. You can go back to what you were doing pre-pandemic. You can hang out with friends as needed. You can go do whatever you want. And people just aren't spending their money on Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. And going to the actual topic of today's video, do I think it's going to tumble even further? All indications seem that it is going to go down a little bit more. Now, it's hard to say. Some of that, I think, for something like this Yatagarasu Starlight Rare, my sense is that a card like this, a modern chase card, is going to go down more. They're going to continue to print these quarter-century secret rares, and while this is a really beautiful card, it's hard to pull. There are just so many close replacements of quarter-century secret rares, of Starlight Rares, whatever, that this specific card, even though there aren't a million of them out there, and it's very difficult to pull if you try to chase after it, there's just too many out there for the supply or for the demand that this thing commands. It's just, there are too many close substitutes, is what I'd say. And then for vintage cards, I think a lot of the value that people sort of baked into the prices over the past couple of years was based on the idea. It was sort of adding in future gains into current prices, where, people were assuming that these cards were going to continue to go up, and so they were willing to pay more. But at some point, people stop believing that they're going to go up, and so you can no longer bake that into the current price, and so they've really, really taken a tumble recently. So this is one card that I picked up. I'm not upset with this purchase. I've been only purchasing, for the most part, off of places like Facebook and Reddit. I haven't really been buying off of sites like TCG Player. The reality is you just get it for cheaper, and I don't have to pay the 10+% sales tax that I would have to pay here in Seattle. And so I end up saving something like 20 to 30% on a card like this. And so the price ends up being a lot better. And so, I'm not chasing after cards and buying in a frenzy off TCG Player like I might have done in the past. I'm just sort of waiting to find cards at good deals, and even though this card has been going down, and it might eventually reach the price that I paid on TCG Player, I don't really care. I think that it's a cool card, and for me, I view these as sort of consumption buys. If it goes down, so be it. You know, I bought it because I thought that it was worth that much money to me at that specific time. Now, sometimes your tastes change, and I might want to sell this in the future, and if it's gone down, that's unfortunate, but you can't always win everything. Here's another card. This is one that I've been looking for so long. I'm glad that I waited this long to end up buying it, but back when I got into the hobby, Toon Chaos took the hobby and the collector's portion of the hobby by storm. People really love modern. And even though they're sort of vintage purists, the reality is there haven't been developments in the vintage sphere such that it can maintain your interest on a broader scale for a long period of time, right? You can do it as a hobby where, you know, every couple of weeks you check what's out there and you try to complete your set, and people do that, but it's not something that a YouTuber every day can open a vintage pack or talk about the vintage market, because it doesn't fluctuate, and there aren't enough sales, there isn't enough going on to do so. And so you need modern to sort of supplement this vintage desire and these classic cards. And for me, Toon Chaos was the first modern set that came out when I started collecting again, sort of at the very beginning of the pandemic, that sort of satiated that collector desire. And so the Chaos Creator was one of the cover arts. Now, my favorite card out of the set was Chaos Emperor Dragon. I've bought that card. I've had that card for a long time. But Chaos Creator was one that was expensive. I didn't really want to pay the price that people were asking for it, but it ended up becoming playable, or people thought it was going to be playable, and so it got bought out at different points in time, and now it's sort of settled down to a more reasonable price. I think I bought this for $40 or something along those lines, not off TCG Player, but somewhere else. And so I was willing to pay it. I mean, it's quite likely that this card is going to continue to go down because it hasn't really been selling on TCG Player, so people are going to continue to undercut each other. And also the rarity collections coming out, which is, I think, going to blow collector rare prices. You know, it's just going to destroy them. I would assume, because of how accessible collector rares are going to be, it's no longer going to be a premium rarity. But this is a card that, for me, made a lot of sense to buy, because it's one that I've been looking for a long time, and I got it at a nice price. And so I'm happy to have it. So, you know, I think collector rares, I think that Starlight rares do have some more space to go down. I wouldn't be surprised if these things continue to go down. Here's another collector rare that I bought. But I don't think that, you know, the full... I think cards are going to continue to go down a little bit, but I don't think that this trend is going to continue until everything is worth nothing. I do think there are genuine collectors out there that are chasing after cards and do have a genuine interest in the hobby. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that, you know, eventually these prices start to stabilize, because, you know, there are enough actual collectors out there that are wanting to buy the vintage stuff. The problem with the modern stuff is that, again, there's so many close substitutes. You know, they can print their Secret Pharaoh's rare version of Mirror Force, but the first edition Metal Raiders is always going to be the most desirable, unless there's sort of a extremely limited promo printing, you know, 500 copies or something like that. But still, this is one that's always going to be desirable, and so it's difficult to compare them directly. But, you know, things are coming down, and they might continue to come down for some time. But I think there's always going to be enough demand that this isn't going to go back to being a $30 card like it might have been a decade ago. And then finally, I said I was going to show these off. I started showing them off before. I did go to Taiwan, and when I went, I wasn't there for, you know, vacation necessarily or to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and so I only ended up going to one shop, and I don't speak any Chinese, so it was difficult to communicate because I had to use my girlfriend as a translator basically. And it was not in Taipei, so it wasn't a huge shop, but I ended up picking up 3 cards because they were nice enough to show me all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that they had. So I looked through the binders of ones that, you know, I wanted to buy something. These were 25 USD for the 3 of them combined, and that's actually a pretty decent price. So the first one is an alternate art of Utopia out of the Prismatic Art collection. Now, obviously, Utopia has the astral printing, and so this isn't, you know, necessarily the high rarity, but I don't think that there's another alternate art version that looks as nice as this one, and so I was happy to pick it up. You know, I'm not the biggest Zexal guy, but honestly, Xyz cards look incredible when they're super shiny or ghost rares, and so I think that that one's a fun one, and I have the astral version of Utopia in the Japanese version. Next up, we have a Salamangreat card. I honestly forget what this thing's called. Very cool card. This is the quarter century secret rare. I don't know if you guys can see the, there we go. There's a 20th anniversary stamp, 25th anniversary stamp. So this was another cool one that I just like the artwork, and it was very shiny and it was cheap. So I ended up picking it up. These are ones that I'm not planning to sell. I mean, these are just going to be sort of mementos, or I guess, yeah, mementos from my first time in Taiwan. And then we also have Salamangreat. I think this is Pyro Phoenix. I could be completely wrong about this. I could be completely misremembering the name, but this was $1 USD. And it's an ultimate rare version of the card. Now, I know it's a cheap card, but $1 is really not much to pay. I haven't looked at the condition, but I'm not trying to grade this or anything. It looked good enough to be in a binder. So the ultimate rare, not the best ultimate rare because you can't see a whole lot of the emboss or the background, but still looks very cool. So I was happy to pick up these 3, $25. You know, I spent it while I was on a trip. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. It was kind of a all over the place rant, but that's how all of my videos are. So if you're not used to it by now, you should get used to it. But thanks for watching, guys. It's been your boy, Watomer Melon. Peace out.